Good morning, guys. I wanted to talk about the risk on, risk off nature of FX because it's really important that we understand like fundamental flows. And so, in so much that the S&P is positive, the Dow is is nicely green, then we can do okay on the Aussie, on the Australian dollar. So we have to remember while we've got our technicals, the very very strong levels, these pivots, and we've got our sentiment, which is really really strong. We have to remember the fundamentals, and the fundamentals are incredibly strong. Okay, they can overwhelm sentiment and potentially technicals. See, the fundamental flows are sort of bank flows, and they'll just push price according to the fundamental um, nature or the direction that they want things to go in. So they probably think we should be risk on. Statistically speaking, we had a humongously risk off day yesterday. To have back to back risk off days is unlikely. So you have to remember the stats. Um, if you remember yesterday, we had the biggest market rout in the history of mankind on the Nvidia. We lost, I think, $600 billion in a single day. So it sort of tells us that we're in this huge tech bubble. And the reason for that decline, that big sell-off, is that we had a Chinese AI called DeepSeek, which you're probably aware of, but it's 96 to 98% cheaper to run. It's 100% open source and it's more powerful. And so obviously the money invested in the open AI, the chat GPT, it looks like that was almost like a wasted expense and so much that we could see money being pulled out of the open AI into DeepSeek. If so, tech stocks, the US tech stocks could fall fundamentally, and the Chinese stocks could do okay. So currently, what I'm looking at today is the Australian dollar USD because we had this big sell-off. There's a big disconnect currently with fundamentals and the sentiment and the technicals because fundamentally we could be okay on the Aussie. If we come to the market watch, S&P is up 0.2. Okay, the US is fairly is positive, slightly negative on the DAX. Okay, Bitcoin's positive. So these are risk on ideas. Okay, now I was wondering whether or not looking at this, while that doesn't look like an SLC probe, I wonder whether or not the spread might have taken them out. I don't know. That would be a very wide spread. But some stops would have been taken out. Some were certainly taken out here. But whether or not you could argue that was the stop loss cluster probe. Now, the thing is with this pumps, it's going to agree with the fundamentals because I've just shown you that the indices are green. Statistically, we shouldn't be risk off today. A back-to-back is just unlikely. It's very low probability. So we could be risk on today. And because of that, it might well overrule the sentiment, which is kind of frustrating because we put a lot of work into the sheet and it can override the technicals as well. It looks like Aussie Swiss has got its monthly pivot. Okay, so we have to bear in mind that this may do okay, and things like the Euro Aussie, while we've got the buy confirmation, we could see a stronger Aussie because of the indices. All right. So that being said, that's why I put the check indices up here. That's because if you're trading anything risky, which most of these are, you need to check your indices. So if we're nicely green, the Aussie and the New Zealand dollar, they can do okay. Okay. And so let's look at the Aussie USD. So there's the 5-minute chart, 15. So it looks like we tried to bottom 30. Now, if we come to the hour, now we see this 10-4. The current trend is 10 bars. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this hour is very, very important and very key. Okay, so we have a bullish candle, this one. It's going to break 10 hours of selling. It's going to break that downtrend. Temporarily, potentially, right? So this hours can be very important. So if we break 10 hours of selling, there could be something reversing, right? So that's just a technical look on that. So let's have a look at your setups. So for Aussie, you've got to be careful. So we come off the lows as well. We were 0.7 and now we're 0.6. So we have come off the lows, as you can see. Are we looking? You are Aussie. Be careful because it's Australian dollar. That hasn't got a setup, but that could be something because we're close to its daily open. The strategy is that we're going to try and enter as close as possible to the daily open, and then we can get the confirmation, and then we go long or we go short. Pound Swiss. I saw something there. That's yeah. So okay. So they're winning. That's another thing I need to bring to your attention is the fact that they're winning a lot. So they're making profits on their longs. They're making profits on their longs. Making profit on their long. Making profit on their shorts. They're just about making profit there for 0.1, and they're making profit on that and on that. So yen is being naughty. Yeah. So I think maybe pound Swiss, but then you want the colours to match. So it's very tricky. So really, what you could do, you could look to fade this. But then ideally you'd want the indices to go red. So yeah, we're sort of teetering. We're doing okay. It's not bearish. We are positive, and we've got the stats behind us for a stronger Aussie, in so much as it correlates to the US 500. But that's what you could do. So really, what should happen on these, because they're getting paid, we should see reversal. So CAD Swiss. See, maybe got an inside bar here. So we take this off and you can see it a bit better. So because that's pumped, we really should be falling. So you could look for a stop loss there. You know, it's like an idea. Currently there aren't that many setups because we want blocks of colour and we want ticks next to the blocks of colour. And you'd want to be careful with the Aussie because of its risk on correlation. So, you know, something like that potentially. CAD Swiss. CAD yen. See, they're getting paid on that. Wow. God. What the hell? Okay, so then therefore we know that this shouldn't be going higher. So they're currently getting paid. So something like a stop up here, for example. 30 pip stop. Got to be careful. CAD yen. Yes, if we break daily pivot, that would be red, red, red. So that could be a good technical play. How are we looking for EJ? So that was also one that they're getting paid on as well. This 5-minute candle's crazy. Really crazy. Big selling. So likewise, this shouldn't be falling, and we have taken the stop loss cluster out. So, you know, some ideas here. Be careful. Looks really horrendous and nasty. And likewise, pound CAD could do okay because what's happened is that they've sold it and they're getting paid. So we should see reversal. Pound CAD. So this could do okay. Let's come to the 15-minute. Likewise, you know, you could have a stop down here. You know, something like that, but just be careful. There's a 200 MA support as well. Might be all right. Just be careful. I'm afraid there aren't that many setups. Just be careful with risk appetite. Check your indices, check the S&P, check your Dow Jones and DAX and things like that, and you should be okay. Be careful with the Aussie because we've got the sell confirmations. However, will it fall if we risk on? Unlikely, but let's see. And so there's some setups here. There are some yen setups, but I'm personally going to avoid them. And I might just look at Aussie, I think. I'm going to keep an eye on this hourly candle, whether or not we're going to break this downtrend. Take that off. And that's it. So hopefully it helps. There aren't that many setups because we've moved a hell of a lot. I do note that the herd are getting paid on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 currency pairs. And there's just the look. How we're looking. So we've got a weak yen and a strong dollar today. Okay, that's it. So trade safely. I'll speak to you guys later.